All right. Greetings, brothers and sisters. Tonight is February 11th, 2025. Time is 5 after 8. This is continuation of UNIA-ACL Division 421 officer training, where we're going over Message to the People course of African philosophy. Tonight, we'll go over questions from lesson 13 titled The Universe, lesson 14 titled Self-Initiative, and then we'll do the reading for lesson 15 titled Personality. As always, we'll start with our pledge, then we will get into the questions. If everyone would, please come off mute, put your black fist in the air, and repeat after me. I commit my body, mind, and spirit to the protection, defense, and security of the red, black, and green.
I
I commit
commit
my
my
body,
body, mind, and
mind,
spirit
spirit
to the
to protection,
protection, defense, and security
The
of the red, black,
red,
and
black, and
green.
green.
I dedicate my life to the redemption of Mother Africa and the liberation of her scattered Black children.
I
I
dedicate
dedicate
my life
my life
to the
to the
redemption
redemption
of Mother
of my
Africa
mother of Africa
and
and the
the
liberation
liberation of her
of
scattered
her
black
scattered black
children.
children.
I accept for myself and my descendants the teachings of universal African nationalism.
I accept
I accept for
for
myself
myself,
and my
my
descendants
descendants, the
the
teaching
teachings
of
of the
universal
universal African
African nationalism.
nationalism.
And I promise that our children will be instilled with the purpose and knowledge of themselves as African people.
And I
And I
promise
promise
that our
that our
children will
children will
be
be
instilled
instilled with the
with the
purpose
purpose and
and knowledge
knowledge of
of
themselves
themselves
as
as
African
African
people,
people,
In order that the cause of our struggle will neither falter nor fail.
in
in order
order that the
the
cause of
cause
our
of our
struggle
struggle
will neither
will neither
falter
fail nor
nor
fail,
fail,
Until all Black people are free and united
until
until
all
all black people
Black people are
are
free and
free,
united
united
through one God,
through
through
one
one
God,
God,
one aim,
one
one
aim,
aim,
one destiny.
one
one destiny.
destiny.
Race first.
Praise first.
Can mute your lines until we get to the questions, which we will go straight into. Were there any questions, comments, concerns before we got into the questions for the night? Everybody ready? Brother James, I know, it's your first meeting. Um, just follow along. We're reading Course of African Philosophy, Message to the People. I think we've talked about it. We did a session on it this past Sunday. So this is the officers training created by Marcus Garvey himself, and we continue that legacy. We're in session 15, so we've been doing this since early October. Every week on Tuesdays, we go over at least one lesson. Last week we did two lessons, but at this point we've gotten up to lesson 13. First question for lesson 13. What has been the eternal puzzle that contains universal knowledge beyond the knowledge of our own world? What has been the eternal puzzle that contains universal knowledge beyond the knowledge of our own world? Okay, preparing to go to the text. One second. Bible. Oh, good, good. Not bad. Answer is the riddle of the universe. We'll get into that. The social system is 8. I got a long way to go. Where are we at? Economy. And know thyself there. Okay. First paragraph. Mr. Garvey says, no man yet knows the riddle of the universe. He says, it has been the eternal puzzle. Men in their searching desires are aiming at unraveling the mysteries behind it. The universe, contains universal knowledge beyond the knowledge of our own world. So, question was, what has been the eternal puzzle that contains universal knowledge beyond the knowledge of our own world? Answer is The Riddle of the Universe, page 108. Questions so far? Next question, what does terrestrial mean? This isn't in the text, but this is something that we should know because they use the word in the text. So what does terrestrial mean? And we may have heard the term extraterrestrial. Nobody knows what terrestrial means? Dr. Kuda, go ahead. You don't have to, it's a small class tonight. You could just speak.
Okay, thank you, President John. Terrestrial means anything related to the earth or land. It is derived from the Latin word terra, meaning earth. In different contexts, geography or science refers to things of relating to the land or the planet Earth. Example, terrestrial ecosystems or terrestrial planets. Or we can look also at astronomy. Describes planets like Earth that are rocky rather than gas giants. Example, Earth, Mars, Venus, and Mercury are terrestrial planets. And in biology, it refers to organisms or life forms that live on land rather than in water or air. Example, terrestrial animals.
From a concise standpoint, thank you, Dr. Kuda. I would, of or relating to Earth and its inhabitants. Terrestrial means from Earth, on Earth. So when we talk about extraterrestrial, that is outside of Earth. And all of us should be familiar with the film E.T., but that's what ET stands for, extraterrestrial. Anything that's not of the earth that comes from the outside, commonly known as aliens, but a scientific term would be extraterrestrial. Third question, how do we approach a greater degree of knowledge than those who confine themselves only to the investigation of things that are terrestrial? What does Mr. Garvey say about that in the text? I know the answer, but I don't know exactly what he says. It's a tough lesson. Question is, how do we approach a greater degree of knowledge than those who confine themselves only to the investigation of things terrestrial, according to Mr. Garvey? Okay, we'll jump to the text for the sake of time. Mr. Garvey says, if man succeeds in identifying Identifying the facts of the majority units of the universe. All right, but the answer is identifying the facts of the majority of units of the universe. Does anybody know what that means or how we would describe that?
Please, can you help describe, explain further?
Sure. So the facts of the universe. I think the Nation of Islam kind of do a good job of it in a sense when they talk about the distance, when knowing the facts of how far the Earth is from the sun, what's the diameter of different planets, what's the diameter of the sun. Um, I recently saw that there was an identification of an asteroid that was found December 27th, 2024, that has a very small potential of colliding with the Earth in 2032. So studying trajectories of comets, speeds of comets, knowing, the distance of planets. Um, these are things that the common individual doesn't consider themselves with. So, knowing a phenomenon of a black hole, um, you know, the reality of planets and galaxies, things like that. But the word terrestrial is one of the big keys to the question and the answer because he's comparing this level of knowledge to those that confine themselves only to the investigation of things terrestrial. So only concerning yourselves with things of the earth, biology, marine, the ocean, and these things are important. But Mr. Garvey says that the universe is also important, and understanding the facts of the universe, um, it takes you beyond, the understanding of those that only think from a terrestrial standpoint, very clearly. Dr. Kuya, that makes sense. Any other questions?
Thank
Yeah,
you,
Brother
Cousin
John, I
James.
have a question.
Yes, Brother Cornelius.
I was just reading ahead, and on page 109, he says, as man before you discovered many things, excuse me, gravitation, the fixed positions of the stars,
Mhm.
the regular movements of planets, and such heretofore hidden facts, you may in the search find out new truths upon which your race and civilization might climb to the highest pinnacle. But what I was looking at is where he mentions gravitation, fixed position of the stars, regular movements of the planets.
Mhm.
Are those the things he's referring to as units of the universe?
I would say yes, definitely. Yes. Because that's identifying the facts of the units of the universe. So orbits of different planets, like I said, comet trajectory, the distance to the nearest sun, the phenomenon of a star dying and exploding, and understanding that, when we see that in our time, that light has traveled, so many light years. So that event is something that happened that we're seeing now, but it happened, could be thousands of years ago. But yes, that's exactly what he's speaking about as he elaborates further. Thank you for pointing that out, Brother Cornelius.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so again, this is lesson 13, universe. Um, it's probably a tough lesson to jump in, if you haven't, gotten the foundation of the previous lessons, it could be jarring, I think is the best way to say it. But for those that have been around, for different sessions, we should understand the foundation. Don't forget intelligence, leadership, aims and objects, elocution, God, Christ, character, social system, diplomacy, economy, man, the purpose of institutions, and now we're getting into one of the probably the most expansive topic, the universe. I compare this lesson to God, and also lesson one, intelligence, education, universal knowledge, and how to get it. But it's a very expansive lesson. It forces us to expand our thinking. I think that's the best way I can describe this lesson. It may seem, you know, unvaluable, or like, why do I need to know the speed of a comet, what that got to do with the conditions of my people, but these aren't my recommendations or my lessons. It's for us to try to do our best to understand what Mr. Garvey is communicating, and also why he's communicating this. I didn't write the text. Mr. Garvey wrote this, and he chose lesson 13 as the place for us to go through this lesson. So we will continue identifying the facts of the majority of units of the universe. Yeah, I think that's what Brother Cornelius elaborated. Greater minds of our universe, and we'll go to the text on that. The greater minds of third paragraph, the greater minds of our world have experimented and are experimenting in their desire to grapple with the facts that sustain the universe. So, yeah, the Emoteps, astrology. I'm trying to think of individuals outside of like the Einstein, the Caucasians, but more African centered. So these great thinkers, the builders of the pyramids and the alignment with the belt of Orion, I think is another great example. That's beyond just building a pyramid or building a structure, in the middle of nowhere. The alignment with the earth, as well as the stars, that's next level. No,
Brother John,
yes,
I was just say one thing I was thinking of. Have you ever heard of the, excuse me, the Dogon people
yes,
of West Africa? They're well known for having, they're an African source of knowledge of the extraterrestrials, like the stars and astronomy and all those kinds of things.
yes, sir, yes, sir. That's a good example. Um, just to finish up, no one knows if man will be permitted to enter into mysterious realms of knowledge, but it is the duty of man to stretch his imagination afield. So when I talked about literally stretching our thinking, that's what Mr. Garvey's saying. Stretch our imagination afield and gather for himself as much information as is naturally possible. So therefore, never rest with your limited knowledge of the world, but seek to find other knowledge with you may be able to lift yourself far above that which has been attained or accomplished by man. So, as we stretch our personal accomplishments, we should also stretch our intellectual achievement and intellectual development. So, we shouldn't have to. I mean, we just got to develop a thirst for knowledge and a thirst for information at the end of the day. But yeah, it shouldn't be a chore. It shouldn't be laborious. It should be something that we look forward to. Next question. What is one way that man has become, quote, a hero and an immortal? In regards to having a legacy, being known, being immortalized, how does Mr. Garvey say that's accomplished?
Discovering the truth.
What kind of truth? It's a specific truth.
So a truth for which mankind is in need of or searching for.
Absolutely. Yeah, we got to get that whole context. Dang, I got a long one there. So basically, we should look at this as a goal. And we do it our way. What's most beneficial for our people. but this is why we immortalize, individuals like Mr. Garvey for the accomplishments that he was able to make, the legacy that he was able to leave behind. He created something, a global structure that will benefit Africans at home and abroad for eternity. So that type of accomplishment is what we should be measuring ourselves to when it comes to a legacy being known, being remembered. In the university, there are many mysteries. Carry and observant, eye, analytic mind. So that's more so again continuing to question and learn. But Mr. Garvey spends quite a bit of time on that in this lesson, so we should take that away. It doesn't matter who the person is when he has discovered a truth for which mankind is in need for or searching for, he becomes a hero and an immortal. Where did I go with this? Let me see what I got in my answer. Never dying name. Okay, something about leaving behind a never dying name. Let me see. Try to grasp at immortality. So this is our directive. We should be reaching at immortality by doing what? By leaving behind a never dying name because of the exceptional things you've been able to perceive and discover through hidden mirror of universality. So that's deep. But being able to see the relationships in nature, I think is one big takeaway that I get from that. If you can see visions and dreams and make your visions and dreams come true, you may focus the facts and truths beyond your immediate reach for measuring them with your sublime knowledge. Find the cause to justify the effect. Follow the line of that. No, see, that's getting into. Okay, so we're just gonna go. Let's get into some of the next questions. I'll just read it as I've got it. So it's probably on page 110. It says, leaving behind a never dying name because of the exceptional things you've been able to perceive and discover, okay, through the hidden mirror of universality. Observe well and see what mankind's needs most in addition to what they have and bring it to them. So, immortality. Any questions so far? That's I'll take that as a big nugget from Mr. Garvey. If there's a mountain, it suggests what is behind it. And what is Mr. Garvey communicating with that statement? If it is a mountain, it suggests what is behind it. And what is Mr. Garvey communicating with this statement? We have got to be read up on these lessons. Got to grasp, let's see. Okay, find the cause to justify the effect. The effect is visible everywhere, but the cause is generally hidden. So this is the secondary answer. Follow the line by degrees until you approach the start, the beginning, the source. Never stop halfway, but go right through. If you have good grounds to believe that there's something beyond. Here's a question. If there's a mountain, it suggests what? It suggests that there is a valley behind it. Don't rest with the mountain because you see it. Search for the valley because they may be much hidden there. Never cease studying the ideas or the facts that may lead you to a definite conclusion. So again, understanding the relationships in nature. If you see a mountain or high ground, that should suggest that somewhere there's low ground. If you see a flourishing, you know, um, field with flowers, you should assume that I would assume that there's something there that's pollinating, whether it's bees or some other type of insect that's moving, or it's just a good wind that's moving that pollen around. But again, understanding these relationships in nature, the I think the star dying is probably an obvious one. Seeing that explosion, but knowing that the distance that it takes and time that it takes for light to travel. So we must also, as we see the visible effect, we must also investigate the hidden cause, or at least be able to think about that hidden cause within our imagination. So, any questions on that?
Well, is he being figurative or is he being literal? Because I mean, would it be like saying if there is a mountain, talking about something big in front of you, maybe an obstacle, then it would suggest that there's something better behind it.
Yes, I would say literal, as well as, I mean, I would say literal in a sense, you know. Yeah, I would say literal.
All right.
Um, but at the end of the day, I mean, some of these things will have to be, assumptions or game time decisions, so to speak. We may not necessarily know if there is a valley behind the mountain, or if there is, but at the end of, we have to understand these relationships, and it's hard for me to explain that because I'm trying to think of it from a confrontation standpoint. But yes, it's literal. I would argue literal. Any questions on that? Other questions? Okay. A valley, find the hidden cause to the visible effect. That's the takeaway. Just because we see a visible effect, don't run with the visible effect. What was the cause?
See, that's why I was wondering if that was figurative because of the first half of the paragraph. That the real point is, if you see a cause, find the cause to justify the effect.
Yes,
Effect is visible everywhere, but the cause is generally hidden.
yes.
So, is the mountain and valley example just illustration?
Oh, you just meant the mountain and the valley itself as a figurative example.
Yeah, he did
Yes.
that. He
Okay.
used the example to give you the point that find the hidden cause behind it.
I thought you were saying find the hidden cause behind the visible effect was figurative. I'm like, nah, that's literally what we have to do. But the mountain, yeah, that's figurative. And I was trying to, use another example, but that would just be a figurative example.
Okay, okay.
My apologies. Examples of individuals who have become immortal through their contributions to mankind. What are some examples of individuals who have become quote unquote immortal, according to Mr. Garvey's standard, through their contributions to mankind?
He got Edison, Stevenson, Fulton, Harvey. I don't know who all of them. I don't know who Stevenson and Harvey are. I got to read them.
He talks about them later into the lesson.
Okay.
But yes, those are some examples. Would we have any other examples? And those are examples that Mr. Garvey gave.
For now, we could say Martin Luther King.
Yes, sir. That's what I was looking for. We got any brothers and sisters that have been immortalized? Mr. Garvey, I throw him out there. Emotep, I would say him the first multi-genius. Narmer, I would argue him, uniting the upper and lower Egypt. Um, Immortal. I would hope individuals like John Henrik Clark, but that's for time to tell. But I would argue him. Booker T. Washington. So we got to have examples, that we can give to our children. Who are the heroes and sheroes of our race? When our children want to be like somebody, what examples can we give them outside of sports and music? And those are things
You
that
can
those are things we really should be able to spit off, off the tip of our tongue.
Can I add?
Yes, Dr. Kuda.
Tubman, Henriette Tubman,
Yep, yep.
Mahatma Gandhi,
Yeah, yes.
Nelson Mandela.
Mandela, yep. I like Shaka Zulu. I
Yeah.
hope he becomes immortalized. But yeah.
Maya Angelou.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yes, that's a exercise for us, and a reminder for us to think of these individuals that are worthy of being quote unquote immortalized, that fit the criteria that Mr. Garvey said that I've identified, not identified, this have discovered a truth for which mankind is in need for or searching for. Okay.
Charles Drew, just to add one more.
Charles Drew.
Yeah, who found blood, discovered how to separate blood plasma.
Ah, okay. I got
Transfusions.
you. Lewis Latimer need to be up there too. See, a lot of our brothers and sisters don't really get the credit that they deserve, and that makes it difficult. Even though they've done the work. So I got to challenge Garvey on that. They brought things to the world, but since their credit was taken, they don't get to be immortalized. But that's a whole nother thing. What type of people have the ability to see things by looking through the mental darkness? I think I remember this one. And this is an exercise, again, that Mr. Garvey is promoting. What type of people have the ability to see things by looking through the mental darkness? We should be exercising these principles. I missed one of the words. Okay. I was thinking subconscious thinker, but the answer, it is the dreamer, the subconscious manipulator who sees things by looking through the mental darkness. Therefore, see things for yourself and see them in a way and see then in a way that mysterious universe. Okay. So you see a bit of the universe through your imagination. And by, yeah, your imagination, I think is the best common word to use. Any questions on that one?
I don't get what it means by manipulator, because manipulator is usually used in a negative connotation.
Subconscious manipulator. So being able to, say you're looking around in your room, and you wanted to redecorate your room, being able to move your couch to where over here, move this picture over there, move your TV over here, put a projector here. That's a subconscious manipulator.
Okay, like envisioning things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's one of the very first things that Mr. Garvey says. Well, not even Mr. Garvey. We just read that yesterday in the foreword. Um, Charles L. James says he sincerely felt that no one should be held responsible for his actions unless he or she is trained to perform those responsibilities. And since the UNIA had become the largest responsible movement in racial history, its leadership should be thoroughly informed so that the proper information would be dispensed. And this is the line. Marcus Garvey was a man of vision, therefore his students had to be visionaries. So yes, imagination, visionary, subconscious manipulator, dreamer. We can throw out, synonyms for days, but we got to understand generally what Mr. Garvey has been saying since the foreword. This has been Charles L. James was in the foreword, but it's a common principle for us to think and use our minds and use our imaginations. Everything doesn't have to be actualized. If we can think it and we can articulate what we are thinking, then that can become a common vision that we can all buy into. Observe well and see what mankind needs most in addition to what they have and try to bring it to them. This is the way you stand out in immortality, as these men do stand out among us today, even though they are dead and some of them have been dead for ages. If you lie down and dream out of, oh, if I could lie down and dream out of my subconscious mind the dream of life and find its source in a more direct way, how much more could I tell about life to astound and convince men of what life is? That's very deep, but he's basically saying if he can sit and think of and have a good imagination of, and based on his life experience, of what to expect of life, then he felt that, that would be a great accomplishment and he would be able to convince men of future possibilities, is how I see it. But when he talks about find its source in a more direct way, that's going back to the lesson on Christ.
Yeah, paper towel, do you know?
And having that clear connection. Sister Diana, I think you came off mute for a second.
We'll be in the bathroom. Let me see.
Okay. Okay. All right, we'll keep going.
Well, I wanted to ask one question about the subconscious.
Sure.
Because if I could lie down and dream out of my subconscious mind, the dream of life, if it's coming from the subconscious mind, that's like sort of like psychic, sort of like, you know what I'm saying, coming from something different than what you just think of straight out of your mind if it's coming out of subconscious. Like if he could have some sort of deeper knowledge than just the conscious mind. That's what I was wondering if you meant by that.
Well, again, we got to go back to the foundation of lesson 5. And lesson 5 gave us the source for having our free will in alignment with what Mr. Garvey called the Holy Spirit of God. So if we can be in alignment and imagine future possibilities based on that alignment, because he's saying and find its source in a more direct way. He's talking about the source for life. He's talking about a connection with the Most High Creator.
Okay, I got you.
Okay. But yeah, that's a repeat theme because again, in lesson 5, he talked about the potential of what man could do, or how man would feel about himself if we could think in a way in which it was described as Christ thought. If we could be in natural alignment and with of desire with our Creator, what would the possibilities be? So this, again, I'm getting some similar sentiments. Next question. How can we see, and again, here we go. How can we see as much as Christ saw when he saw God? So this is about where we are mentally and where we are striving to be mentally. But we must expand our thinking. We must go beyond the terrestrial. We must understand the accomplishments of those that we consider immortal. And again, I would obviously throw Christ in there with the immortality as well. But how can we see as much as Christ saw when he saw God? I think this was like a weird answer.
Is it approach?
Yep, that's it. With sublimity.
With its deepest sublimity, you may be as much as Christ saw when he saw God.
Yep. What is that? Do we know what that means?
Sublime is trying to think, isn't that down to earth?
Well, it's a couple definitions of sublime. One of them the one that I've known is a scientific definition when a material or matter goes from one state to it goes from like gas to solid, but it was never a liquid. That's sublime, but there's another definition as well. So, and again, like I'm not I've just been doing this for a few years. Like I didn't practice for this today. But facts are facts, truth is truth, and things don't, definitions don't really change overnight. The chemistry definition is of a solid substance changed directly into a vapor. So I said from a vapor to a solid, from a solid to a vapor when heated, typically forming a solid deposit again on cooling. So basically skipping the physical state, going from solid to, skipping the liquid state, going from a solid to a vapor. And then the archaic, this is the one I believe, elevate to a high degree of moral and spiritual purity or excellence. And also this one, of such excellence, grandeur, or beauty as to inspire great admiration or awe. So that is the level of mentality that we should be striving for, according to Mr. Garvey. Dr. Cootie, got your hand up.
I just want to add that in Garvey's philosophy, sublime might refer to the elevated state of being or consciousness that a person achieves when they transcend earthly limitations and align with universal truths or divine principles. For instance, seeing God or understanding the universe deeply would be considered a sublime experience. Acts of heroism or spiritual enlightenment also qualify as sublime because they elevate humanity to something greater.
Spiritual alignment, thinking beyond the earth or terrestrial. So yes, it's very clear. We can tiptoe around it. We can act like we don't see it. But Mr. Garvey is definitely calling us to expand our thinking, expand our imagination, and not be caught up in everyday typical nonsense or gossip. We must be striving to achieve the highest state of thinking possible and from a moral and spiritual state, according to Sublime. Any questions? Okay. Approach thoughts with its deepest sublimity, thinking highly. So let's get our, we have to get our minds out of the gutter if we want to get our people's minds out of the gutter. And the best way to do that is to have our minds in the universe. So let's not even entertain the possibility. What created the universe and what will master the universe, according to Mr. Garvey? Thought. Yeah, I thought it was mind, but what else did he say there?
Use the thoughts to the limit.
And do we remember how Mr. Garvey defined God in lesson 5? How the lesson was God? How did Mr. Garvey define God in that lesson?
In lesson 5, Marcus Garvey defines God and provides key perspectives on how to understand him. God's absolute wisdom. Garvey describes God as possessing absolute wisdom with a proper purpose for creating the universe. Man, being only a part of this universe, cannot limit God's spirit or prerogative. All life's destiny ultimately belongs to the Creator and not to man's role in relations to God. Man is tasked with conforming to divine laws and using intelligence within scope of living harmoniously without disrupting spiritual life.
Thank you, Dr. Good. I'm looking for 2 specific words to define God according to lesson 5. We should have our text with us. We should be able to turn to page 45 and pull that.
A spirit and universal intelligence.
Thank you, Brother Cornelius. Universal intelligence. It took us a long time to get that. Hope I didn't lose my point. But it is said that God, or as we know, universal intelligence is behind the universe. No man has ever seen God. Suppose you, like Christ, could see God. What a wonder and amazement. Christ saw God behind the universe as man. Christ was an object lesson to man's glorification and knowledge. Therefore, if you approach thought with the deepest sublimity, you may see as much as Christ saw when he saw God. It is thought that created the universe. It is thought that will master the universe. Man must therefore use his thoughts to the limit to get the best results from the universe. No thinking, no knowledge. Proper thinking may lead you suddenly into the conquest of what heretofore was mysterious. But Garvey also said earlier on, I can't remember which lesson. I want to say it was lesson one that um, the universe will either reward you or destroy you based on our knowledge of it. So it must be thought first. We must understand the universe before we, try to have a bunch of actions. Any questions? It's thought that created the universe, thought will master the universe. Man must therefore use his thoughts to the limit to get the best results from the universe. No thinking, no knowledge. Proper thinking may lead you suddenly into the conquest of that which heretofore was mysterious. So think. We may come up with something in thought that would save us a lot of time, money, and energy. Let's think first. Okay. And with proper thinking, there's really nothing that we can't do. Okay, what may lead you suddenly into the conquest of that which was heretofore mysterious? We just said that proper thinking. Yeah, proper thinking. So thoughts, proper thinking, approach thoughts with its deepest sublimity. This lesson is really talking about how we think and what we occupy our mind with. What can we do to climb in excellence to the companionship of the most excellent? Thank
Think excellently.
you, Brother Cornelius. I'm trying to get back to my slides. Think excellently. So approach thought, deepest sublimity. Thoughts create a universal mass of the universe. Proper thinking will suddenly lead to the conquest of that which was heretofore mysterious. Excellent thinking will cause us to climb in excellence to the companionship of the most excellent. We have to take away, or at least understand, even if we don't take it away, at least we know what Mr. Garvey is trying to put down in this lesson. If man can think most excellently, he climbs in that excellence to the companionship of the most excellent. So again, this is Christ seeing eye to eye with God. As he climbs in his excellence to the most excellent, he shall not be presuming. He shall be taking himself up to the most excellent, that which in other units was not excellent. And like the dutiful servant who used his talents and used them well, he shall be possessed of the talent of that servant who hid his and was ultimately deprived of it for the benefit of that servant who used his because he could appreciate the gift. Let's talk about appreciation. Okay, and that's the next question. I think that's the next question. Oh, crap. Yeah, that was the next question. How does man in his excellence lift himself highest to God?
By his mental industry, And the man who has no mental industry forfeits that mentality to the useful servant who climbs in his excellence to the most excellent.
Absolutely. So again, Mr. Garvey saying if we don't stretch our thinking and expand our thinking, someone else will, and they will find work for us. So we must assume that position. Man in his excellence lifts himself highest to God by his mental industry. Are we striving to to lift ourselves as a people highest to God through our mental industry? He says the man who has no mental industry. So if we don't utilize that mental industry, we forfeit the mentality to the useful servant who climbs in his excellence to the most excellent. So even if other cultures aren't trying to reach the highest pinnacle, the fact that they're willing to stand up puts them in a higher position than a majority of our people in this time. So Mr. Garvey is stressing for us to utilize our mental industry and not allow others to utilize theirs for us, not forfeit it to others. So, and that concept of forfeit will come up more. But we talked about it in institutions. Mr. Garvey said, if we don't create our institutions, then we're basically saying that other institutions are superior and ours are inferior. Same applies to our thinking. So if we can't think for ourselves, we're forfeiting that ability.
Now, mental industry means creating something mentally, or that just means, your excellent thinking is mental industry.
Excellent thinking through possession of knowledge. We must continue to possess knowledge. As we talked about in the foundation of this lesson, the very first thing that we said is we must understand the facts of the universe. So that is the development of our mental industry is knowing the facts, knowing the relationships, understanding the valley that's behind the mountain. We just went through a whole page, sublimity, thinking pot or highly. Um, so yeah, it's knowing as well as thinking. But I would say knowing is the foundation, according to lesson one. So are we developing that mental industry? That's the question that we must continue to ask. Okay. How does man lift himself highest to God? Mental industry. So mental industry, thinking excellent, proper thinking, thoughts, approaching thoughts with the deepest sublimity. So, and what happens when man has no mental industry? We just said it. He forfeits it. Forfeits his mental industry. He forfeits that mentality to the useful servant who climbs in his excellence to the most excellent. So you forfeit it. So if we don't have plans for ourselves, if we don't have programs for ourselves, others will be quick to develop them for us. So we must take that leadership, and that leadership comes first in thought. Hey, I have an idea. And we've thought it through to where hopefully we can explain it as such, but it doesn't always work that way. But at the end of the day, you've thought it through, and you are very confident in your understanding that this is a good idea. Garvey considers the universe bright and beautiful. So where is the darkness, and how do we lighten the darkness? So first, where is the darkness of this beautiful, bright universe? Gotta have our books. We got a free link. It should be, I don't know. Yeah, I guess everybody's on their phone, but we gotta have the books. Garvey considers the universe bright and beautiful. Where is the darkness?
It's in you.
It's in you. And how do we lighten the darkness?
See the light.
See the light,
We want knowledge to
knowledge.
our darkness.
Yes, I was going to say this is knowledge, it's information. So again, when you were asking what is the foundation of that mental industry, Garvey is elaborating. Brush away the cobwebs of your mind and see the universe as looking through a crystal, because beyond you, all is bright and beautiful. The darkness is in you. So again, when I talked about a lesson on man, Mr. Garvey don't talk about what other people are doing to us or us, worrying about the oppressor. We'll talk about communism as a philosophy. We'll talk about ignorant white masses. But Mr. Garvey says that the problem is internal. Majority of Negroes are ignorant. The darkness is in us. In man, he says that we must expect man to be wicked. But he also says later on in that lesson, he talks about education. And this is reiterating that same concept, saying that darkness is in us. Unless we seek light, unless we acquire knowledge, we will not lighten the darkness. So we must first do that within ourselves, but that's also the goal for our community and for our brothers and sisters. So again, that's why you will see me heavily pushing education programs. How can we expect anything from the people if we're not training and developing the people? So, we got to do that work. This is what he's not saying we got to do the work, but he's making it obvious that we know what the issue is and how to correct it. Whether we do that or not, that's on us. It's our time. Okay. Darkness is in you. We want knowledge to lighten our darkness. Next question, what is the goal of enlightenment? This last two questions on this lesson. What is the goal of enlightenment? Why do people want to achieve enlightenment according to Mr. Garvey? And I can guess the answer just based on what we've already talked about. It's got to do with alignment.
To align ourselves with the universe.
Is that really what it says? But I know it's in relation to seeing things as God sees it. If I could dream my life into eternity, so this is about, just like you said, that subconscious dreamer of life. If I could dream my life into eternity and come back with wisdom, should not I have the surpassing knowledge of my fellow? So if you can just think, to that level, should you not in that process achieve knowledge that normal people don't have, because normal people aren't pursuing these exercises? Then why not seek it, since it is there for man to seek out and to possess it, to possess himself of it? So, in the beginning, lesson one, Mr. Garvey said that all the information that we want is out there in the universe, and we just must pursue it. He said that in order to achieve, all we have to do is determine what direction we want to go and work incessantly or consistently in that direction. So solutions are here. It comes down to how we apply it and if we can apply it to the level that Mr. Garvey did, because obviously, he was successful in his time. He said, is when you reach up to it that you approach God's elevation. So we're never going to approach God's elevation if we're not trying, first and foremost. So stretching our thinking sublime, mental industry, not in rivalry of God, but as coming to God of whom you were always a part. So again, going back to lesson 5, that universal connection with God. But for the darkness of your own soul, illumine the soul, and God's brilliance will be revealed as it was revealed to Christ. That's a very important line. Illumine the soul, and God's brilliancy will be revealed as it was revealed to Christ when the halo surrounded his head and he was declared the begotten Son of God in whom God was well pleased. So we have goals. We have targets and examples of high mental industry. Uh, it's up to us to determine what we will strive to achieve. Will we shoot for the stars, or will we be happy with, a tall tree? But that's a question that each of us must ask ourselves. What a world of unfurlment, what a world of universe, what a universe of expectation to which man and his sublimity may climb. Okay, here it is. I think it. Why not be the first outside of Christ to climb in that sublimity to the most excellent? I feel like I missed something. Because the next question I thought was the last question. What is the goal of enlightenment? Page 111. To understand the mysteries of the universe with the knowledge of God. Okay, yeah. I guess I did say that. I don't know if I didn't know if I saw the word enlightenment. I think I must have replaced illumine the soul, God's brilliancy. Yeah, I replaced illumine the soul. So I considered illumine the soul to be enlightenment. Um, and I think that's a fair synonym. Any questions so far? We got one more question on universe, and then we'll go to self-initiative. What does Garvey add to the phrase, quote, man, know thyself?
Man know thyself, and man know the universe, and man know your God.
Very, very clear. Great ending to this lesson. Great way to bring it all together. But what I've understood, I don't want to relate it to the Trinity, but they're all connected. We are a part of God, we are a part of the universe. So in order for us to really know ourselves, we must know the universe, and we must know God. In order to know any one of them in any depth, you must know all three of them, and you must know the connection of all three of them.
Well, I would feel like, me personally, I feel like when he's talking about God, because my concept of God is really not the God of Christianity, but I still feel like that connection of God to God is just as important, but it's a different concept.
Yeah, let me be honest with you. Mr. Garvey wasn't considering your concept of God when he wrote this text.
No, and I can see that, and I know that he was a Christian and stuff, but
Well, it wasn't.
I would apply this, I would have to apply it to my concept because since the Christianity concept is not my concept, I couldn't use that.
Where do you see Christianity in that statement?
Well, when he talks about Jesus.
But we're talking about know thyself, know the universe, know your God.
No, I'm talking about just in general. When it says, man, know your God, and throughout the text, he's been talking about Christ.
Yes.
So, when he's saying God, that's just like another term, I would think, for the God of the Bible, right?
Not at all, Brother Cornelius. Do we got to go back to page 45?
Well, yeah, let me look at that.
We defined God just a minute ago. And again,
universal knowledge.
exactly.
That's right. That's right.
So that's what he's saying. Man, know your God. Man, know universal intelligence. I make that substitution.
Okay, well that's basically what I'm looking at there.
All right, all right. That's how. Again, this is not ours. This is not mine. This is not my interpretation. I urge us to understand Mr. Garvey's interpretation, and the better we can understand his interpretation, I think the better we'll understand the message. So it's not. He does, Mr. Garvey. Obviously, he has a affinity for Christ. But we must also understand that was the example that he used, uh, for the highest potential based upon the story. We can substitute that. If we Muslim, we can say Muhammad. If we're if we believe Abraham or Moses, we can do that. If there's somebody else that we believe, we can do that as well. But the goal is who is the physical embodiment of what we would consider a man that has reached the highest level of mental ability in what we would compare to seeing, eye to eye with God. And for Christianity, Christ is that figure. That's all.
I got you. Because I know some people who they are followers or adherents of Christ without accepting the entire religion, because when you read the teachings of Christ in the Bible, they like to follow that, because that they consider, very, very good, but don't actually aren't really adherents to the Christian religion too.
I got you. That's a whole nother discussion. If we want to have a discussion on the Bible, we can have a discussion on the Bible, but I'd rather not
No, I don't want to go.
the doctrines.
I was just saying that.
That's separate. Mr. Garvey, he does encourage us to read a chapter of the Bible every day, but again, we're going through the lessons right now.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we read lesson 14 last week, so we got questions from lesson 14. Maybe, got a couple. First question, and I hope everybody's ready to go. Any questions before we start?
I'm actually gonna have to leave, y'all. This
Understand.
for me, but I will read this and be back with you next week.
Looking forward to it, my brother.
All right, race first, family.
Race first. All right. Question one, what is our single responsibility in life? Stay black. Dr. Kuda?
Every man is his own responsibility.
Absolutely. Your single responsibility in life is yourself. That's the very first thing that Mr. Garvey says. And again, how can we be of value to anyone else if we are not of value to ourselves? So we must understand self-initiative. What about commitment to the race, though? How does that apply from a lesson on self-initiative? Sister Cecily.
Well, I guess it doesn't. Sorry. I should have paid more attention to the title of this. Yeah, my bad, guys.
No problem. Not to say that that's not a responsibility, but this lesson is again putting that mirror up and putting some onus back on us. Before we put our responsibilities everywhere else, we must take care of the primary responsibility, which is ourselves.
True.
What is the purpose of life and what is the duty of man? Dr. Kuda.
The purpose of life is to live fully. Man's duty is to rely on himself and take responsibility for what he wants.
Yes. Let me go to the book on that one. Thank you, Dr. Kuda. Sharing the right page. Yes. Self-initiative, lesson 14. Every man is his own responsibility in life. First thing, nature never made anyone dually but singly. Therefore, you have your single responsibility. So even if we had a twin or triplets, your first responsibility is yourself. The purpose of life is to live fully. Hence, the single life must be complete. And in fact, it is so with every man. Therefore, it's the duty of every man to fall back on himself for what he wants. So he's saying that every life is lived fully, and we have a responsibility to fall back on ourselves for the things that we want. Any questions so far? Okay. Why should individuals decide for themselves what they should do? Why should individuals decide for themselves? That includes us and that includes others. Dr. Kuda?
Because the individual knows best what is right for himself.
Absolutely.
So, mm,
Very straightforward. You know, we should know what's best for ourselves, so we should be speaking for ourselves. Others, we should allow others to speak for themselves because they know what is best for themselves. That's very straightforward. But at the end of the day, we're talking self-initiative. So if we want something for ourselves, if we feel that there's a benefit that we desire, who has more responsibility to speak on that but us? So we must speak up for ourselves. What is the best individual policy regarding self-initiative? What is the best individual policy regarding self-initiative? Dr. Kuda?
we become to develop the courage to do things on our own account.
Yes. I remember why I got that in there now. Thank you, Dr. Kuda. Mr. Garvey says, you know, based on what we just said, man is our own responsibility. We must rely on ourselves. So Mr. Garvey follows it up. He says, therefore, the best individual policy should be that the individual develop in himself or herself the courage to do things on his or her own account. Always counting the cost and benefits or bad results. So we just talked about earlier being able to think things through, being able to anticipate the outcomes, but we must be able to develop courage to do things on our own. Any questions so far? We are leaders. We are leaders of our people. We must be courageous, and we must, you know, fight for the things that we feel are right and not wait for someone to tell us. When we fail to take self-initiative, what do we become?
Cowards.
Cowards. Yes, I think it's something else as well.
We become suckers
Yep.
for others.
Suckers for others. So again, not doing for ourselves is an open opportunity for someone else to come and do for us. The person who fails to be true to himself and taking the initiative to do things for himself will ultimately find out that he or she has been a quote unquote sucker for others. Always surround yourself with the talent of being able to do for yourself as to not be too dependent. A person who has to depend on others is not himself or herself, but the subject of others. And I like what he said here. This is a little spiritual. He says a subject or medium is apt to break under the influence of the controlling factor. As for instance, a hypnotist or who has a controlling factor may so hypnotize his subjects as to cause the subject to lose his or her mind. Basically, we must think for ourselves, and we can't get used to others thinking for us because, you know, we basically volunteering to be hypnotized. And we, again, as leaders, that's unacceptable. We don't just represent ourselves anymore. As an individual, we have the you know, I don't want to say liberty, but you know, individuals can crash out, you know, and nothing, it don't stop nothing. The show keeps going. But a leader, you know, if we fall under someone else's directive, it's not just us that's affected. So we must always be in mental control. What is the root of self-reliance? This was a little bit more difficult. But Mr. Garvey's got a connection. He says self-reliance is this, and then this is this, and this is this, and this is this. What is the foundation of that connection? What is the root of self-reliance? Dr. Kuda?
You should always maintain a strong self-will, and your will is your decision.
Yes. Yes, but it's at the bottom of that paragraph. Let's see. God Almighty, well, let's just read the whole paragraph. Always maintain a strong will and emphasize that strong will even more when from the first reasonable judgments you come to the conclusion that you are right. So all of this is foundational stuff, really built upon lesson one, where Mr. Garvey told us to pursue the knowledge, pursue the facts, and only when facts we become aware of facts that are contrary do we, change our opinions. But if we are right and we know that we're right, and our interactions are reinforcing that we are right, then we should stay strong on our position. Always maintain a strong will and emphasize the strong will even more when from the first reasonable judgments you come to the conclusion that you are right. To come to that conclusion, you must have the facts before in your mind. So that's what I was saying, lesson one, foundation. We must have the facts in our mind. If our facts are as good as is known and can possibly be gathered on a particular thing, and again, that mental industry, facts, on which a decision is to be based, then don't allow anyone but God to alter your will. So being clear in your decision making, that's, what Mr. Garvey is talking about when, no one has the perspective that we have. So if we are really strong about that perspective, we should stand on it. And especially if we have, there are some conclusions that have shown that we're right. We should stand on it. And then this is where I was going, because your will is your decision. So your will is your, wait, let me make sure I got the right question. Was it will or did I say something else? Root of self-reliance. Okay, that was a bad question. Yeah, it should have been you. Well, I guess it don't matter. Your will is your decision. Your decision is your intelligence. Your intelligence is your personality. Your personality is your self-confidence and your initiative. So that's the foundation of self-initiative is having confidence and initiative. So, or foundation of will, I would say. Yeah. But the acting out of our will is self-initiative. So that's synonymous, but the question should say will. But the foundation of your will is being confident and having a sense of initiative. And that creates a personality. Personality develops into intelligence. Intelligence becomes a decision. And that decision is your will. You are acting out your will. That is the definition of will. It will, you're making it real. You're making it a reality. All right. Always maintain a strong will. Your will is your decision. Okay, yeah, you said that, Dr. Kuda. So I was way off. When should you call for help from others? According to Mr. Garvey, lesson 14, self-initiative. When should we call for help from others? Dr. Kuda.
Only after you have tried to help yourself and are completely satisfied that you lack the ability, the knowledge, character, or strength to do it on your own.
Absolutely. Very clear. Self-initiative. First thing Mr. Garvey says, always try to help yourself. Only when you are completely satisfied that you do not have the ability, knowledge, character, and strength to do for yourself should you call anyone to help you. And are we clear on that? Any questions? That should be very rare occurrence. Obviously, we all need help and assistance, but we should rely on ourselves first. Mr. Garvey continues, when you ask others for help, when you ask others to help you over anything, be sure they are your very, very, very good friends or relatives, because the things you ask them to help you out may be valuable to you and would be of value to others. So this is talking about like getting help with something valuable. He was just saying that they could take the value. So don't ask for help. Try not to ask for help. All right. Question 8. Why must we only ask for help from very, very good friends or relatives? And we just talked about that. Things you will ask for help for may be valuable. They'll take the value for themselves, and all you get is disappointment. Number 9, why can no man say there is no God? And how is man limited in life and death? Why can no man say that there is no God? According to Mr. Garvey, Dr. Kuda.
No man can say there is no God because no man is like God. Man is born without knowledge, and we will die without will or wish. God is in control.
Absolutely. And that answers the second question as well. The fact that man is born without his will and most times dies without his wish or consent. I know we have like some people that are, you know, whatever. But most of us die without will or wish. But Mr. Garvey says no man can say there is no God because no man is like God. We talked about that in lesson 5, universal intelligence versus unitary intelligence. So that shouldn't be a discussion at this point. Man, and again, this is Mr. Garvey's opinion, it's not my opinion. Man is limited in his knowledge at the most, and man knows how insufficient he is between life and death. He is born without his knowledge. He dies without his will or wish. When his birth and death must logically and naturally be controlled by someone else. So that is why Mr. Garvey says that he doesn't promote for us to say that man is God for those two reasons. Any questions? Okay, and that's very small, but we read it. What two things should we not say about God? Did we just say that? I think we just said it. What two things is that we shouldn't say about God? Dr. Kuda.
We should not say there is no God.
And what's the other one? That's right. We just read it. Wait. Oh, no, we didn't read that one yet. I don't think. It's basically that man is God. We don't say that man is God, and we don't say that there is no God. Um, when he's speaking about God, Mr. Garvey says it could not be man because man is always man, whether he be a big man or a small man. So power that gives birth and causes death must be greater than man's power. Whatever that power is, it must be an absolute power. Um, so Mr. Garvey did not believe that man was God and that there was no God. Any questions? Okay, next question. There is no God, and that he, man, is God. Why should we not fear God? Dr. Kuda.
If you love God, you do not need to fear him.
Ah,
Fear arises only when you are conscious of being evil or wicked.
hmm. Very important, critical. I love that one. Fear God, but love God. If you love God, you need not fear God. Very straightforward. For God is with you, and you are a part of him in your goodness. Lesson 5. You fear God only when you are conscious of being evil or wicked. Not my words. It does apply to me. But Mr. Garvey is making it clear there's no reason to fear God. God loves us. We should love God. And he says very clearly, the only time we fear God is when we know we're doing something we shouldn't be doing. Questions? Okay, okay. How are we able to handle man without fearing him? Let's go back to lesson 11 a little bit. Dr. Kuda.
This one actually is one gift I have.
Hmm.
I don't fear any man, whether it be the head of state, whether it be whoever. Um, uh, because I just feel if you love God, you do not need to fear him.
We saying man now. What does Mr. Garvey say about
And
fear man?
also, by us knowing man is wicked,
Yes.
there's no need to fear them.
Yes. Yep.
We know that each and every man is wicked on this earth, rich or poor.
Yes, he says, understand, man. You love God and work with God while using, no, you love God and work with God while you are good. There's nothing in this world that you should fear otherwise, for everything in the world is subject to you as man. Never fear man, but understand man, so as to escape the wrath of man and master man. So we talked about man mastering man in an earlier chapter. Man is vicious, this lesson 11. Man is wicked, lesson 11. And you must know that he is. By knowing that he is wicked, you are able to handle him without fearing him. Any questions? Very straightforward. But that is how we are able to still go out into the world knowing, that man is wicked. We know what to expect and we protect ourselves as such. But unless we go out and enlighten the people, the conditions aren't going to change. They're not going to improve. Okay. A couple more questions. How do you allow other men to master you? And that's in a meeting or in person. I don't think this works digitally, but it has to be in person. Dr. Kuda?
You allow other men to master you by cringing before them.
Yep.
If you take your eyes off them because of their share, they conquer you, as it shows you are unprepared.
Yes, basically not shying away from eye contact or a stare. Meet the stare of man with your stare. Never cringe before a stare of a man. Otherwise, he masters you. Um, no one man or woman is any better than any other man or woman. So don't be intimidated. Don't be intimidated by any man or woman. And the way that we show that we are not intimidated and we understand them is by maintaining that stare. If they stare at us and you look away, you've basically deferred, in a sense, to that individual. Mr. Garvey continues. He says, develop enough courage, character, boldness, and self-confidence to look any man in the face and hold your ground. The first time you take your eyes off him because of his stare, he conquers you because you are unprepared. Yeah, look him straight in the eye, keep him covered with your eyes, and let him bow and walk off, not you. This is the way man conquers the lion or a wild beast, by staring in the eye. The moment he takes off his eye, the beast will spring upon him. Okay, so maintaining eye contact, We talked about that in an earlier lesson, so that's a repeating theme. I would argue is something important. Any questions so far? Got 5 more questions. What characteristic of man conquers man? Did I just read that? Oh, yeah. I did read it, but I didn't read it verbatim. So, Dr. Kuda, go ahead.
The daring look, self-confidence, strong character, and the boldest, longest stare.
Yep. I forgot what page. Daring look of man conquers man. Self-confidence of man conquers man. The strong character of man conquers man. The conqueror is the fellow with the boldest and longest stare. He hypnotizes, that came back up, his victim and walks over him like a worm. Are we the hypnotizer or the hypnotizee? And Mr. Garvey is breaking down that process. So Mr. Garvey also said in another lesson, I think lesson 11, to be forewarned is to be forearmed. So we can't act like we didn't know, we were unprepared, we didn't know what to expect. We've gone through the course of African philosophy, and we've, these principles have been pointed out to us and made clear to us. All right. Daring look. When is God pleased with man? When is God happy with man? Dr. Kuda.
God is pleased when man lifts himself to his true position in his kingdom on earth and in heaven.
Absolutely. Any questions? Is that clear? So this was following up on being hypnotized or losing confidence to someone. Never be a worm. Never be obligated. Never try to never be obligated. For if you are obligated to a man, you cannot stare him to obedience. You will have to bow before him because he has a grip on you. Try then to be free from all obligations to any man and thus always be yourself. And then he says, God is pleased when man lifts himself to his true position in his kingdom of earth. So for us to maintain, what some would consider less than first class citizenship, I don't know if you want to say second, third, or whatever, is a disgrace to God. For us to be dependent on others is a disgrace to God. For us not to aspire for our true position on this kingdom of earth, the position that God created for us, is displeasing to God. And Mr. Garvey said that God never made, or Mr. Garvey believed, we have to check with most of our people these days, but Mr. Garvey believed that God didn't make the Negro to be a servant class. So we must continue to work if we have that same belief, same ideology. All right. When man lifts himself to his true position in his kingdom in earth and heaven, what should we ask for and what should we not? What should we ask God for and what should we not ask God for? Dr. Kuda, this is me and Dr. Kuda here today, huh?
Ask God for strength, courage in righteousness, wisdom, and understanding. Do not ask God for wealth, particular things, or individual possessions.
And what is Mr. Garvey communicating there, in your opinion?
Is communicating that we are born with these gifts. We have strength, we have courage, we have righteousness, we have wisdom, we have understanding. We should just ask God to help us, bring out those characteristics in ourselves. Because as a Black people, we have been made to believe that we are less human than the other races. So we need to ask God to help us, use these capabilities that He has birthed us with into this earth. And we don't need to ask for particular things of wealth because we're already wealthy. We
Yes.
have those possessions.
Yes, and that's we're asking for the ability to acquire these things ourselves. So strength, health, intelligence, wisdom, endurance, other skills that we may desire. Those are valid requests from God, according to Garvey, as opposed to just asking for the end goal. Hey, I want a new car, I want a new house, I want more money. Um, we can all, if God gives us the ability to acquire those things, and He says that He says it's like it's disrespectful. Um, Let me see if I'm sharing the proper. Yeah. If you ask God for wisdom and understanding, you have everything else, because with wisdom and understanding, you will be able to take care of yourself. Therefore, never pray to God for particular things, for individual things. He has already given all that is necessary for your existence in creation, and He has placed you as Lord and Master over them. And then He says, then why worry Him further praying for these things? It is a waste of time. It is annoying. It is disgusting to God, if God can be disgusted. Seek ye first wisdom and understanding. Oh, that's the next question.
If I could just add on that, President John, like I've been thinking just yesterday, I saw, you come across some of these things on your phone when you're looking at certain, when you find yourself scrolling on the internet. And I was listening to some YouTube videos on the UNIA-ACL, and something just popped up, the youngest, richest kids in the world. And they show this young boy in Nigeria and the mother, that they're so wealthy. This boy, I don't know, is a billionaire or millionaire. He's only maybe 8 or 10 years old. And they start to explain where the wealth came from, that the mother owns a mining company, no, oil company. So what goes straight to my mind, because of all these lessons we've learned, what goes straight to my mind is God put all this wealth on this earth for all of us. But because the system is so messed up, um, I don't know if what to call this type of system where by one individual can take possession. I would feel guilty. I would not want to be the wealthiest woman for taking out oil that God never only assigned to me. I would say, give me 10% of that oil, but the other 90% let it go to the community. I wouldn't feel good taking so much to myself, but it just worried me. There's a lot of things of lately that have disturbed me, and I've been thinking deep, and I'm like, thank God for these lessons, because they actually keep you on track to say, don't worry. What's going on out there in the world, that's not what God put out here. And don't fear these wicked people, because men are wicked.
Yes.
So if we stay in the right lane with what God expects of us, we shouldn't be shaken. We can see this darkness, behavior in the world. All we can do is try to educate our people to do better.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Kuda. Yeah, when you spoke on the systems, and that's what we must understand when we talk about society, institutions, man. These systems are groups of individuals. And, we have two options. We can either try to enlighten these individuals in these systems and improve the system that way, or we can focus on developing our own systems that will eventually put other systems out of business or out of need. And I think that's what our focus should be in the UNIA is showing a better example that the world hasn't seen before, and forcing these other cultures and other populations to demand something better from their leadership. Okay, two more questions. What should we seek first so that all life will unfurl itself to us through God? So when we pray for things, when we seek things, what should we be seeking first?
Wisdom and understanding.
Wisdom and understanding. Thank you, Lady President. I'm pretty sure that is correct. Yeah, because I had receptacle, cleanse them. What? Oh yeah, seek ye first wisdom and understanding, and all life will unfurl itself to you.
Sorry, President John, could we please explain what is wisdom and how do we seek wisdom? Because I remember one Nigerian gentleman saying to me, all he wishes for is that God, if God could give him wisdom. And I said to him, you already have that. Was I right?
In a sense, I mean, we all have a level of wisdom. Usually, we would associate it more so with elders. I've been told that wisdom is that knowledge is the acquisition of information, and wisdom is the application of knowledge. So it's having a repository of either experience or facts, but knowing the key thing is knowing when to use them. Sometimes wisdom is expressed in silence. You may have the answer to the question, but wisdom tells you that they need to struggle through that problem before you give them assistance. So I know wisdom to be knowing when first having the knowledge in the first place. So in order to be wise, I would argue you first at least must have a level of knowledge, if not just random facts, but knowledge in regards to the relationships of the universe. Um, so having that first and then how it's applied is what I would argue is wisdom.
Thank you.
The application of knowledge and discernment.
Hmm. Yes. Yep. The discernment would be knowing when to apply it. Okay, last question. What are the receptacles for understanding and wisdom? Knowledge, wisdom, understanding came with experience, foresight, and hindsight. What are the receptacles for understanding and wisdom? This is a repeating theme we've talked about previously. Okay, it's not exactly what I thought, but it's close enough. Dr. Kuda?
The mind and the soul or your heart.
Yes, that's what I was thinking, heart. But yeah, soul, heart. Mind and soul are receptacles of wisdom. Let's see, let me flip it over here. Mind and soul are the receptacles of understanding and wisdom. Cleanse them with protection and approach the source who giveth them, and you shall be eternally blessed. So again, trying to get to that source, understanding the source, understanding we come from somewhere. When we leave here, we will go somewhere. So what is that source? How can we better understand that source? And what Mr. Garvey says, if we understand that source, we'll be eternally blessed. So your mind and soul are considered the receptacles of wisdom. You can say brain and heart, but mind and soul is the words that Mr. Garvey used. Last paragraph, the angels of heaven are the good spirits from the earth and the other planets who have passed through their probation of original life. No man on earth is an angel. Angels are spirits, not men. All right, and that ends Lesson 14, we 10 minutes from 10 o'clock. First Vice President, will you be reading for us?
Yes, I can read.
Yeah, let me see how long this is. I don't think it's that long. Oh, it wasn't. Longer than I thought. Brother, yeah, I'm gonna give you the floor. See how we do.
Get us through it.
Thank you.
Give me.
My apologies, brothers and sisters. We had 2 lessons to go through tonight, so it shouldn't have any more classes as long as tonight. Brother Mason, you got it.
All right. Lesson 15, personality. A thing to impress the world with is your own personality. Your makeup as a man or a woman must be so clean cut as to leave nothing to suggest the incompleteness of a perfect person. Man is always disposed to respect and honor those who show themselves observant of all the rules of manly dignity and character. It is said by some philosophers that cleanliness is next to godliness. Therefore, always be clean cut in your appearance when you meet others and particularly the public. Never be slack in your appearance, and at any time in meeting another person or persons, be neat and clean in appearance, even in your own household. Because the moment you throw off the reserve of your personality and invite disrespect for your person, because at that moment, because the moment you throw off the reserve of your personality, you invite disrespect for your person. As far as your personal attire is concerned, always see that it is in style, in proper shape, and presentable before you appear outside of yourself. Always appear at your best, even though you may be suffering under the greatest difficulties of strain, because by that very good appearance, you may win support to enable you to get out of your difficulties. Never let your difficulties weigh you down to such an extent as to forget the presentableness of your personality. The world is always looking first for defects before they tabulate your virtues. See to it that nothing is defective about your appearance, from your shoes to your dollar, from your toes to your head, from your nails to your mouth, for in search of this, they will strike upon the one defect. If there is one defect, they will say that you are careless about yourself and therefore will be careless about other things. To maintain a good personality, you must observe all the rules of hygiene. Personal sanitation adds to confidence in you and complete satisfaction. Your appearance adds to your personal confidence. With a personal confidence, you may face the world and win. With the personal defects, you naturally lose confidence and lose generally. Never let anyone persuade you to go anyhow, even though you are not presentable, because you are not going very far. It may be just in a short distance that somebody of importance with deep scrutiny may observe you and conclude that you are a slack person and cause you to lose much. A perfect personality made through proper care of oneself is a passport to anywhere in the world, socially and otherwise. Never go eating in the street. Never go into company and expose your bad manners in any direction. Try to suppress those bad manners. Leave them at home. Eating and talking are bad manners in public, which are excusable and proper at the dining table. No matter how hungry you are, don't take your meals while walking, and never eat as an individual at a public meeting before the audience. You will lose their respect immediately for not having regular meal hours and having your meals in an improper place with social regulations have established. A public platform is not a restaurant nor a dining room. Don't eat or even chew gum in people's faces. It is always an ugly sight and shows gross disrespect for company. You may chew your gum in your home, but not on a public platform, nor at a public meeting. The man with a good appearance walks down the street with pride, courage, and self-confidence and self-respect. The man with a dirty shirt or dirty underwear and poorly kept clothes is a self-consciously afraid of himself and is therefore afraid of company. Hence, he is without confidence in himself. A dirty person on the street is bound to be affected by the heat. The heat betrays his dirt to the passerby, and everybody looks around to see who it is. And as you are spotted, you become marked, and the odor you throw off as a result of the heat may become your social undoing in the community. So always be clean in appearance and in body. It costs very little because even with one suit, you may keep it so clean as to always be presentable to the public. It is better for the public to say, that man has been wearing that suit for a year, but it has always been well kept, than for the public to say, that man changes his clothes, but he is always dirty. Never go on a platform with patched clothes because somebody will see the patch and surely come to the conclusion that you are a patched up all around. When you go before the public, remember that they are looking at you scrutinizingly from head to toe, back and front. They are going right through you, searching for something that reveals your true character. Disappoint them always by giving them the best you have in character, which is outwardly represented by your clean-cut appearance. I looked at a man. He was a beggar. His shoes were broken in many places and very dirty. His clothes were ragged and torn in many places. His collar was swarthy, black, and revealed dirt everywhere. His fingernails were black and dirty. His teeth were unkempt. His breath was foul. His shirt was black with dirt. He asked me for help. I gave him a pity and walked away because I thought it was enough because he could not appreciate the use of more. I saw another beggar whose clothes were poor but clean. His pants revealed poverty, but they were also clean. I gave him a sovereign because I thought he could appreciate the use of it. There is a moral. People will judge you by your appearance, whether you are rich or poor, and they will deal with you accordingly. Never make it a custom to carry distress on your face. Never, or in your eyes. Never carry yourself as to suggest despondency and overburdening sorrow. People will learn to shun you. Keep smiling. Keep being pleasant at all the time, even if you are dying. It is better to be a pleasant corpse than a hideous, ugly-looking one. Show distress only when you may win help from those you approach, but be sure that you have struck a right estimate of your sympathizers. To show sorrow to those not interested is to drive them away from you. Never show it to those who are not interested. When you are keeping an appointment, always appear your best to justify the particular mission. For instance, if you're going to do big business, appear in a way that suggests that you can maintain and live up to big business. If you're going to seek a job by appointment, modify your dress so as not to outdress your prospective employer. If you are going begging for yourself, don't go flashily dressed or overdressed, but dress in keeping with the kind of impression you would like to make upon your benefactor. This is purely a question of judgment. If you are going begging for a cause like the UNIA, you must not go as a revealed personal beggar. You would cause the person to say to himself, why should I give him money for a cause when he looks like someone who begs for himself and cannot be trusted with such philanthropic responsibility for others? Never go asking for help for a cause, caring not how lofty it is, looking hungry, distressed, and brokenhearted yourself. Nobody will believe your story. You are likely to be jailed until you can prove your sincerity. Win a good reputation in your community by being up to date in your personality. Let your individuality stand out clear. Every man has an individuality. He is known by that individuality. The background of that individuality should be his clean-cut personality. Don't be lazy in whatever you have to do, because that laziness will grow on you and people will observe you and mark you as being lazy. If the news circulates, it will undo you. If you find a thing to do as a job or occupation, do it well and show interest in it until you have decided to do something else. But while you are doing it, do it to the best of your ability and put your personality and individuality behind it, because somebody observing or coming after you will say, this thing was well done by Jones, or badly done by Jones. Your reputation is at stake. If you can choose your employment or occupation, then choose only that employment or occupation that will give you complete satisfaction in its practice, so that you may put your whole heart and soul in it and achieve the greatest good or the greatest result. To carelessly choose your occupation or employment and find afterwards that it does not suit your nature is a waste of time. If you dislike your employment or occupation, you will not concentrate on it and give the best results to your own benefit, because you will always be thinking of something else while mechanically doing what you are occupied with. Hence, to be your true self, always be sure to properly select the right occupation before you go into it. Never be frivolous in the public eye or in the eye of company, because they will mark you down as a frivolous or an irresponsible person. Always try to maintain the dignity of seriousness, or at least a poise that would suggest that you are a person of dignified reserve. To go giggling, prancing, and jumping about like a child stamp you as a clown. A man must be a man, a woman must be a woman, while a child must be a child. You are a child once, a man once, and a court once. In these three stages, you must behave according to nature. Prance and giggle as a child, be serious and dignified as a man, and rest peacefully as a corpse. If you happen to make a mistake in getting employment or a position that is not suited to your nature and disposition, while working at it, do the best you can to maintain your reputation. Exercise your effort to find the occupation or employment you are best suited for, and see that you do not make a second mistake, but find your right place in life. If you go on making mistakes of that kind, your life will end as a complete failure, because you will never be able to master anything, because your whole soul and heart was never in anything. Before you can impress others and get them to follow you or imitate you or accept your suggestions of anything higher in life, you must show evidence of success in it. No man who is not successful can teach others how to succeed. It is impertinence for a man who has not succeeded through his personality to suggest to other people how they can succeed. Therefore, make yourself a success, and other people will follow your advice because they see success in you. Never go among people better than yourself, telling them how to succeed, but use your illustrations of success among others who have not succeeded, and that illustration must be in your own personality and individuality.
We lost Brother Macy for a second. I'll continue. I'll continue till he comes back. To maintain a good personality and robust individuality, be sure to keep your body in proper physical condition. There's no better way to do this than at least once a week to take some kind of purgative. It will cleanse your system. It will clean your system and give you clear vision and healthy thought with a responsive body free of pain and ailments. Doing this regularly may lengthen your life from 10 to 20 years, because it keeps you in a state of health to resist the germs of disease. If you follow this practice, you may never have to see a doctor except on major physical matters. Never try to make an important speech with a clogged system. The poison of your system will get upon your mind and keep you so hazy in thought the poison of your system will get upon your mind and keep you so hazy in thought as not to reveal the mentality of your true self. When a person claims to feel bad and goes to a doctor, except it is an ailment resulting from a major issue, he always prescribes a purgative. Why pay $1 or 2 or 10 to get the same thing you may get at the cost of 5 cents. A clear system is always a prevention against threatening disease. Keep your system clear at least once a week. If a motor car runs all the time without being cleaned or overhauled, it will suddenly one day break down, and it is iron. How much more will a human body not break down if he doesn't keep his system clear? Everything he eats does not pass out voluntarily. Some things remain in the system to breed germs of disease which may affect you in all ways. The greatest insurance is to keep your system regularly cleansed. A healthy stomach or disordered stomach affects the whole nervous system. All the nerves are related in the human body and they depend on the stomach, chiefly as a main artery of supply. If the stomach grows sick, it sends poison throughout the whole body. Keep your stomach clear. It is better to be half hungry than wholly filled. That completes lesson 15. Brother Mason, you made it back?
Yes,
Okay. Yeah, it was just, it wasn't much.
I'm back. I'm sorry about that.
I finished it. It was just a page and a paragraph.
Okay.
It was, yeah, one paragraph and a page left. So thank you, Brother Macy's. Excellent job again on the reading. 7 after 10. Any closing questions, comments before we close out? Great job, everybody. And with that, we will get back together next week. We'll go over questions from lesson 15, should be brief, and then we'll do the reading of lesson 16. So officers, definitely be ready. Next week, I'll be calling on some of y'all, some of my officers, some of my veteran officers. I don't have anything else. We can close out.
Right.
Brother Mason, you want to close us out, please?
All right. Put your fist in the air, repeat after me. One God,
One
One
God,
God,
one aim,
one
One
aim,
one
aim,
aim,
one destiny.
one
one
destiny.
destiny.
Africa
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 for the Africans.
for
for
the
the
Africans.
Africans,
Africans.
Those at home
Those
those
that
at home,
and those abroad.
and
Those
those abroad.
abroad.
Race first, family.
race first.
Race
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 first.
Peace and Black Power.
Peace and Black power.